Hello, friends. This is Cole's Corner, podcast number 5. Thanks for listening. Thank you for comments and questions and messages. And I'll continue today with the Right Usable book, Blue One, number 1. I was going to do this with a friend of mine, but it's not happening. So I will invite her for the next podcast, and hopefully we can manage. We've been doing the Right Usable together for a long time, and she was my closest ally, and it's a good thing to have an ally in this deep process of going through these books. I personally find it really powerful to be with another person who we feel really safe with, who we really trust, and who is also not afraid to reflect to us what really need to be reflected. And she has really helped me to connect with some feelings that I was gapped from, meaning I had either a wall between my conscious awareness and that particular feeling. And so what another person can do, if they well attuned in their feelings, is to bypass my wall, and just by her magnifying a particular feeling that I could not feel, she would magnify it in her body until she would communicate to me what I could not connect to. And then through that vibration, I would have much easier access to this denied feeling. So I'm forever grateful to her for that journey, and it wasn't easy. And sometimes we read, and these books took us into complete unconsciousness, like we would virtually fall asleep, and we wouldn't even notice it. It would just vanish. And some other times it would express things that I would never have been able to express with someone trustable in my presence. Actually, in her presence, I could very much easier move my feelings than, for example, on my own. So it gave me some sense of security. And of course, some feelings I moved very happily in my own space, and some impossible. And I'm sure there are some feelings that are yet to come. But I know one thing for sure now, that I have very welcoming attitude towards my feeling, which I think it's a number one mechanism for them to be able to evolve. And also I'm aware that my mind, when it's on its own, it's like an unconditional non-acceptance of feelings, and there are still some residuals even in my mind that after years and years of doing the books, that make me still unaware of some aspects. But reading these books, particularly the later books from 2 onwards, they definitely help me to connect to myself in a way that really nothing in this world can help me connect. Not yet. Maybe a really good therapist sometimes took me into places, but it was mainly because, again, it was that safe space. So it's something I like to talk about. I might have mentioned it before, and I can't stress enough how important it is to be able to have this genuine, safe space, even with myself, even with my own mind. How can I make my mind receptive and less judgmental and paying attention and waiting for the will to inform me rather than letting the mind rush in and name all the feelings and name all the emotions I think I'm having, but let emotions and feelings inform the mind, and mind is now trained enough to know that this is the process. Without that, you can shout and scream and tell people how they're not moving stuff, but it really does. It will not change anything in you, because I am the number one. You are the number one. Only you can be accomplished, and it's all about what's happening in me. And also that Right Use-of-Will introduces this 4 aspects of ourselves, which is the spirit, which is our more thinking mind, our will, which is the feeling aspect of us, our heart, which is the balance of the two, and a body which keeps manifesting the actual alignment of the two. And also each of these is an important part, and if any of these one missing, all the other ones are in some sort of misalignment. So it's very important in my books, to mostly do these books as if all of this is happening in me. There's a tendency to project this out onto the others, and that's okay. That happens, but keep bringing it home. Someone's telling you you're not moving anything, well, ask them, well, how does that make you feel that I'm not moving anything? Or how does it make you feel that I'm not expressing what you think I should be expressing? How is that for you? And then let them to express, and not trying to change you, because you're just doing it unless you have this trustable person in you who says, hey, I'm not sure if you're moving this stuff. I say, okay, let me check. Can you help me? Can you be supportive to me? Do you have this deep intent to heal or help me to heal? And now we can join in together. So I am forever grateful to my friend Cindy, who's traveled with me for a long time through some very painful moments, and these years of evolving, and we're still very good friends. And we did have some times where we were living in different parts of Australia, but we're just neighbors again, which makes me very happy. So today I'd like to talk a little bit about a chapter called Clearing Illness and Habits. This is very important because one thing, I'm still very challenged. The books are saying that if your spirit and will is in alignment in the heart, you should be experiencing health and sense of longevity. And I can still struggle with this physical aspect of mind, which is, being 63 now. It's also, years of habits and dietary patterns and late nights, and all of that takes a toll, and somewhere the body is definitely deeply imprinted with all sorts of imbalances. So this is still very important chapter for me to really dig into, hence I like to share it. So, to clear illness, it's very important to learn to really, listen to our bodies, what they're actually trying to tell us when we are feeling like either that we are coming to be ill or are ill, and or even have some constant conditions that are bugging us. And so the word to listen, and to really learn how to listen, and it's even asking body to help us, like to address the body, say, hey body, can you help me to understand you? I really want to heal with you. I feel like I'm causing you, through my habits and through my patterns, I'm causing you to be this way, and I can't hear this message. And so then really just go quiet. I'm not suggesting like some kind of patterns of meditation, but quieting the mind from all the ruckus that's in it. It's definitely a good help to hear and to listen. I even found that for a little while I've been doing this Wim Hof method, just to breathe a little bit deeper. And what I found that if I did, let's say, those 3 rounds of deep breathing, and not as intense as the Wim Hof does it, but still a really strong oxygenation of a body, I would notice that my mind would go very quiet. And I would very quickly enter in a very deep meditation. So I'm definitely not into this jumping in of ice water, but this was really something that I learned from my neighbor here, my good friend Kashi, who says, hey Collie, come, let's do this thing. I was like, okay. I usually don't jump into things so much, but when someone comes and invites me, I go, okay, I'll give it a try. And we did it a few times, and the message that I heard from within, not only concerning my body, but also my purpose, or what's next, or how to do something different way that would serve a greater good. Like I started running a new set of men's groups which were open. I always used to run closed groups, and I did this meditation, and then suddenly it really hit me that I need to go and do open men's groups. But not only I got that, I got like this, oh my God, like points, do this, because I always meditate with this, like, whatever I do, what do I need to say, and what do I need to do that it serves greater good? That is not just about me or just my friend, but something beyond my scope of possibilities or my capacity, what I already know. It's like, how can this be brand new? And, it took me 5 minutes to breathe, and then I don't know, we sat for like 7 minutes, and I had this full outline of what's next. Just like a download, like an upgrade of my mind. Just like, hey, try this and do it like that, and do this and do that. And I started running these men's groups, and they were like quantum shift to what my men's group used to be. And yet my men's groups were always very popular and very good groups already. So this I recommend, just to find a little time to tune in and become extremely receptive, so we can hear from the body. Because if we understand this message the body gives, there's this it's if we tune in like this gives a body like a most needed feeling of acceptance, and because some of us might think that our body is kind of against us, that we are somewhere victim of what happens to the body, like one day we go have a blood test and next minute they call us and say, hey, you have 6 weeks to live or something, and so it's good to start early rather than wait until the body has to become sick, So really asking the body, talking to it as, hello body, how are you today? What do you need today? Because what the next bit in that chapter is, he goes into habits, and he basically said the habits is what sets the body to death, to physical death, because we get into, rather than tuning into what we need today, we go into the habit. I was like, ooh, that tasted good yesterday, we'll have it today again. And yet, body might need something completely different. So to have that profound attunement, we need to spend and give body some time to inform us what it actually needs, rather than running on routines and diets and procedures, because we're all different and we might need a completely different thing that a diet is suggesting. I'm not saying that diets are wrong, because your body might say, hey, I'm attracted to this, so this is already written out, follow this, we'll be fine. Okay? And then to check, because we might follow a diet and it might be time when it's over and we just keep going. And it's like my son, he just one day said, very early, says, I'm vegetarian. I was like, actually first he said, I'm a pescatarian. I was like, how old are you? He goes, 5. Pescatarian. I was like, I need to check what that word really means. It's like I only eat fish, but I don't eat meat. And then one day I say, I don't even eat fish now. And very early in his childhood, here he comes. And so it is very much into, we need to be tuning constantly what the right thing for us is. So also that we involve feelings in a decision, how to guide us with food. Does this feel right for you? Just checking, even when you go shopping, hey, take me somewhere, bring me to something, point me to something that feels really good. And so the will can guide you already when you go shopping, what could be good for or needed for the body, and equally the body, of course. So it's a body feeling. By the way, just to understand better, spirit and a heart are more of the one aspect, the more spirit polarized part of ourselves, and feeling in a body is the other company, the other two, and obviously mind and the flesh are in the greatest odds. So reconnecting to our feelings is really very essential, but also then being able to tune into the real body, and knowing that our real body has really got very distorted from its origins, and it used to be changed form really easy, heal very fast, and really not getting very sick because it was so attuned to the environment, and environment would provide for the body what it needed. However, the more denser we got, more density we needed in our diet, and took a while to produce things that we needed. And like we know now, before we grow something, it takes quite some time before we can consume it, and then we don't know what is the thing, what is the right thing for us. I think I've got a bit distracted just then. Anyway, here I'm back. It also talks about interesting things, because as the food becomes more substantial or more physical, we came up with all these ideas that, for example, that for the spiritual growth, that eating meat, or especially red meat, is gonna affect our spiritual illumination, and it says it's actually not a causal in here, and so the nourishment, should kind of match the vibration in which our consciousness is vibrating in, equally there's nothing wrong with a bit of tobacco. The problem with tobacco these days is that it's usually pumped with all sorts of chemicals. But I remember in early days where I live, you could buy tobacco from growers that was just a pure tobacco, and it was just a delight to have 1 or 2 smokes a day. It was actually like I puffed on that, and I would remember God. I was like, whoa! It would just take me in, and so these substances, if they in a pure thing, and I knew I actually wasn't a smoker, but I loved to have it, having a little rollie, once or twice a day. And sometimes I didn't, and sometimes I have 4, but rarely. And at that time I was living with a friend, and she hated smoking. And she says, I really hate smoking, but when you smoke, I don't mind it at all. You see? So it's like the body tells us, body guides us to what's okay and what's not okay. And there are times when I drank alcohol, and there is like right now, it's not my thing, except when it comes to summer and it gets really hot here in Australia, having a beer or 2. But it really catches up with me soon, saying, hey, can we not stop this? So there is always this part of us that's letting us know what it's needed, and so it's really important to watch the habits and how we are accustomed to these routines and this kind of a Groundhog Day experiences where we pumping the same thing every day, while our body's going like, oh, I can't stand this anymore. So there they come, cicadas. I'll close the door. All right. So I think that's a really, really important chapter, and I warmly recommend this many times, because there is so much in every sentence, really. There's no way I'm giving this any great service. It's just incomparable. Like, it's so perfectly written. Really, the more I read these books, the more I'm blown away by every sentence. Like there's nothing lacking in here. Some people think that women that received these books wrote all sorts of stuff in there that they think was just her stuff. I don't believe any of it. I think this is just absolutely perfectly what was given to her to write in, and she wrote it. And I think people made up a lot of stories around this that have got nothing to do with the truth of it. So yeah, still very big challenge for me to really tune into it perfectly. As a 3-year-old, I do feel that sort of level of density and it's a bit more challenging. So if you're a young person, this is the time to really look after yourself now. So the later times are not as affected by the habitual patterns that eventually lock the body into this chronic set of pains and aches. And definitely being a guitar teacher and sitting with a guitar for hours every day, it's also locked up my spine a little bit, and it's very hard to return myself. Also being a professional performer and guitarist and practicing hours and hours a day have really calcificated my spine. So it's good to be a little bit more intelligent. I wasn't for a long time, but I do remember having these experiences where I would really tune into my body, and the body would speak to me, but body would speak to me, and really profoundly, really like to a point where I would sometimes or often stop doing what I was doing. I'm going like, okay, I'll stop right now, and the pain will be gone in a second. So it's a profound mechanism. Yep. There's another chapter that I really like here. It talks about ego like no books talk about ego. Actually says that there's nothing wrong with ego. It does, however, say that there is a disease in the ego, and it's this disease that needs healing, and that ego is a part of us, and actually without the ego we wouldn't recognize ourselves as who we are at all. Like, you wouldn't know it's you, because the ego is the I am sort of. Even on a shallow level, it's still kind of makes you recognize you as you, and not fully disappear into the oneness of the unity. Because I really believe in this creation. We were given certain gifts, like we all have them, and I think the greatest art for us, all of us, is to find what are my gifts and am I giving them. And I tell you that most of the depression and most of the illness and suicide and everything is people find their gift, they fully give it, and then comes an end, and that's where the time comes where, hey, sit down, shut up for a moment and really listen. What's my next purpose? Where am I going next? And if they don't do it, they begin to go down. And I've noticed, particularly running and being, mentor to many men in my life over the years, it was often that either failed goal or completed goal, and not starting a new one, not finding out what's next in my life. What's my mission now? And one of my mentors, who's David Data, he always recommends, like, when you come to an end of something, go and sit, lock yourself out somewhere and just sit. This is a good time. COVID's raging everywhere, so shut the door, get yourself some supplies and stay put. And look at your life. What's my purpose? Yeah, what's my deeper purpose? And just repeating that question, every 10 minutes. What is it really? you know. If there is two of you, you could go, hey, what's your purpose? What do you think is your next thing? And you can say anything, and then the other person can give you some feedback. It's like, God, that feels really good. Or you might be saying something insignificant, and the person could say, God, when you speak about that, you feel like you lighten up and it feels good. So really to look into, what's our next thing. And now I do ask myself a question, how did I get in here? Oh, God. But it is about, creation is always new, and that danger of being in the patterns, and ego loves sort of constructing patterns. But where I was heading was more into this thing of like really finding out the part of the mind that really hates the will, that hates feelings. That's the part of us that has this disease, and this disease needs healing. And part of that disease is that unconditional non-acceptance of feelings. And whenever there's a feeling arising, and just to ask ourselves, is it okay? And just really get honest and just notice how the mind just want to say it's not okay. And that's the pain. It's actually not even the feeling itself, but our non-acceptance of that feeling that gives feeling that unpleasant quality. It's the condemnation, is the rejection of the feeling that affects it. So I really like this chapter on ego, because it basically says that the death of the ego is actually not what we think it is, and is not necessarily required. And the ego mind is imprinted on our body big time, and we can have profound awakenings, and then we still see how this ego just creeps in, and some of those patterns still arise, but now you have a love for it, When I catch the ego, I'm just like, hey Shmooky, what's your plan today? I can feel you have some mischievous ideas there that would definitely sabotage our day. And I think one of the books I read once, it says, you made the ego without love, and so the ego doesn't love you, and so there is this part of us that doesn't love us, doesn't love itself actually, and definitely hates the feelings and hates the body, and wants to be this separated little entity that thinks it can win the war, win some kind of war with God or something, but it's not so. And think just needs this genuine love, and then genuine love doesn't come from the mind. Genuine love comes from the alignment of the four parts that I mentioned at the beginning. Spirit aligning with the will aligning with the spirit, and if there is any imbalance, then balance it out. If the will needs to talk to the spirit, then so be it. It's like, hey, what's up? Let's just get straight. This is not the way to be. Let's align, And again, there must be that deep intent to heal. That will help to generate that. I'm skipping some chapters. I wouldn't dare to go into those. Some of them are quite quite deep, and like I said, I'm not particularly reading from the book. I'm just grabbing bits and pieces. I really wish I'm like not a Bible basher or something, but I really wish these books were much widely read. and not only just read but applied, because you can read something and, like Barry says, it's my son there. I don't know if you can hear him. Hey, Chubu! Can't hear me. He's got headphones on. Anyway, well, I'm not going to make this very long today. And so I'll bring this to a close, I think. Really would just like to say, that to read these books to read this particular book, I'm really seriously read it. Maybe not only read it, I listened to it. As I said, I had an old friend of mine 25 years ago recorded it for me on the little cassette tapes, and I've been listening to it ever since. Every time I drive and every time I do not every time, but often, and I do things or cook or I would listen to some sections, and they always like rewritten. They're like brand new. The more I move, the more I understand, the more I release the judgments, the more alive these books become. And really are very precious. This is a very precious material, I guess, from what I'm speaking about. And I'm sure that you know this stuff from other things. There's no doubt about it. But particularly the later books are something like I have never encountered anywhere yet. And I did listen to a lot of books, and like it says at the beginning, these books come from God in the first place, and they really are there are many very, very simple things that I really haven't found anywhere yet. So fully recommending. I was going to bring it to a close because I can see my son wants to have a little bit of a chat with his friends, and I better go and cook some dinner as well. So thanks for listening. Thanks for your comments, and we'll talk to you next time. Hopefully I have my friend with me, and so we can both share our experiences, and maybe she can encourage me to say things that I would normally not say, and maybe vice versa as well. So hopefully that's going to be interesting. Okay guys, thanks for listening. Bye for now.